Now, having listened to the statewide broadcast by the Plateau State Governor, Barrister Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang, would also look to get security perspectives. Joining us from the Plateau this morning via phone call is the pioneering commander of the Multinational Joint Task Force and a consultant on national security, General Jon Temlong, retired. Good morning to you, General. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning. How are you? I can hear you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you join us on the program. Once again, my sincere condolences to the people of Jos and the victims of this recurrent attacks in Basa, Bokos, and Mango local government areas.
Thank you very much for the condolences. Our hearts reaching out to all the relations and even to our people here on the plateau too. Thanks.
Now, let's get your thoughts on this from a security consultant's perspective. Whilst the IGP had deployed a tactical squad to be headed by Deputy Inspector General Kwazi, it was quite a surprise that following his arrival on the 8th of April, just a few days later on the 13th, these militants, or should I call them terrorists, struck again. Do you find it quite alarming that they were not deterred by the deployments and mustered courage to strike again?
Well, it's not surprising because a terrorist is a determined enemy who has time and space at his disposal, and he strikes at the place he wishes. The unfortunate thing was that the other attack happened in Bokos local government, which is quite a distance from Basa local government this time around. So the attention had all been shifted to Bokos while they struck down at the remote area in Basa local government. So they are quite intelligent and determined, and they pick their targets when and where they do, because that's what a terrorist does. They can be patient, they can wait hours, years to see when the target is most vulnerable and they hit and create the maximum damage that they want to create. So it's not surprising. The deployment of the IGP's tactical squad cannot work in isolation. There should be synergy. It should have been a reinforcement to the troops of Operation Safe Haven, where you have the general officer commanding is doing a good job. The Chief of Army Staff came for an assessment here in Bokos, and he got it right that they needed reinforcement of troops. So the reinforcement should come. The police will not be able to act in isolation. The firepower of these people is beyond what the police can contain alone. So it's even though he has sent more troops, but I think those troops should work in conjunction with the Operation Safe Haven troops, who are doing quite a good job, even given the circumstances under which they operate.
Now, you're a pioneering commander of a joint task force approach in combating such insecurity. Are you satisfied, however, with the level of interventions seen so far since these issues began in 2023, starting with Mangu, and now has continued up until 2025?
Well, you are just coming at 2023. In fact, the task force was established in 2008. Those things have started on the plateau since 2002. Beyond that, the task force have done a very great job. You see, the unfortunate thing people don't understand is that in asymmetric warfare, which we are involved with now, there is no clear-cut enemy. The enemy walks with you, sleeps with you, wears your own dress. He doesn't have his own uniform and the rest. Sometimes they have informants even in the cities or in the towns and villages. So there is no symmetry where you say this side is enemy, this side friendly forces. So it's quite unfortunate. What we usually call this sort of operations or war is that is the slow, messy war. If you are a student of military history, you'll find out that these things have been on for some time in very other countries. In Algeria in the 90s, the Americans had to move out of Iraq, Afghanistan. Iraq, ISOP, and the rest, Iran, ISOP, and Libya, and Syria. You can see even at the end of it, the terrorists prevailed in Syria. So it's quite a very difficult operation that we find ourselves in, and more so with the advent of technology. They are not just fighting on ground, but they are fighting on the air and space, because there is cyber security, cyberspace that is being dominated too. Sometimes they are quite intelligent and they have foreign backing. You find out that just recently the Operation 7 troops arrested 2 ISOP operatives in Yelwashendam. And you might not be surprised that they have a lot of sleeper cells all over that country now. So we're up in this thing. The whole thing is that if we implement the strategy that has been adopted by the government, the all of society approach will prevail. But as it is now, we're relying too much on the kinetic energy or kinetic aspect of the force, and which is supposed to be actually 30%, and then the 70% is the soft power component.
Now, General, it's also on the part of government's role in protecting the lives of citizenry. I like the fact that you took us down history back into 2002 when the first Jos crisis started. Many had criticized the approach of then President Olusegun Obasanjo for imposing a state of security and suspending the then Governor Chibi Joshua Dare. Down the years, I don't know what the body language of government, especially at the federal level, is in reaction to how to end the insecurity in Jos. Would you toe down the history lines of having a state of emergency declared on the security situation? What other aspects beyond the non-kinetic can government at the federal level deploy to show that Jos is indeed and Plateau is indeed a prized possession in Nigeria?
Well, I think the president has been up and doing. If you can see, the chief of army staff came immediately. In fact, the chief of army staff was here. The national security advisor was here in Jos too. They assessed the situation first, and it was based on the assessment that they promised additional reinforcement of troops and resources to come along to do this thing. I think the federal government is doing quite a lot, but I think the problem lies more with the subnational governments at all levels, and then the local governments, to be able to key into what the federal government is doing and understanding the complexity of the situation, reading what it is, and then building the capacity of the citizens to be able to handle what is going on. And I tell you, unless you are alive, every other thing is meaningless. Unless the citizens at the margin of the states and local governments, the Nigerians are alive, the deployment of additional troops or resources and the rest will be meaningless. So what do the citizens need to be alive before those reinforcements come? It's impossible to deploy troops every part of this country or every part of the state. It's impossible. It has never happened in anywhere in the world where you have enough troops or policemen to police every inch of a society. But then the citizens have a role, and that is what I think the governments at the subnational and local governments level must key into and insist that their citizens must be alive. The question of saying state police or federal police is beyond the police in the first place. That's why the military came in. So when you say state police, what are they going to be armed to meet these people who the federal police cannot even challenge? So I think we need to understand. You see, the basic thing is understanding the problem. If you don't understand the problem, all you are doing will be a waste of time. I've always been giving this analogy, and let me give it here because this is the first time I'm appearing on your TV program. Look, malaria fever, the symptom is fever. Typhoid, the symptom is fever. And many other things in the body, fever is a symptom. Now, that's why the makers of Panadol or paracetamol say after 2 days, if you take it and there is no improvement, see the doctor. Now, and that's what should happen too, because if you are treating malaria and you have typhoid fever, it will never go off. In the end, it might kill you. So we need to understand the complexity of these problems and sit down at the community level, be able to do what we can do to survive, pending when we have the federal might or the organized security comes to us. It's like a human being, you have a very deep cut. The first thing you do is you call the medics to come, look, I have a very deep cut, come and pick me while you are bleeding. And nobody has done anything, or you have not done anything to stop the bleeding. By the time they arrive, you are dead. They'll carry a dead body. But if you are able to stop the bleeding, then they will come and carry you and get expert treatment. And that is what it is, that if the citizens survive within the environment and they're able to call the security to come immediately, they'll come and they'll see them alive and be able to rescue them and deal with the situation appropriately. These are the things that we need to interrogate properly and build our own security within the national security architecture to be able to protect our citizens. They must be alive first. All other things will be meaningless. In any case, the first law of survival is self-preservation. So, self-preservation, as it were, is instinctive. And that's why if you take a knife to strike somebody on the head, instinctively he will put up his hand, forgetting that that knife will cut his hand probably into two. But that's his trying to survive. And that's self-defense on its own. No. So self-defense is allowed even in law.
Now, General, this point you're raising with the analogy you just painted is quite brilliant. In keeping with the practicability, especially at the community level, is also the call on traditional rulers and vigilante, like we heard in the governor's speech, to be the first line of defense in providing intelligence and raising this alarm. But quite sadly, like we saw in Mungu in 2023, there was complaint about the response time it took, despite phone calls put out to security agencies in the wake of an attack that spanned almost all through Christmas Eve. I don't know how this emergency response time can be improved upon, or what can be better done in this synergy between local vigilante and the security network.
Thank you very much. Like if you heard me well, I said it should be built into the national security architecture. Now you say vigilante. Communities raise a vigilante. What is the relationship between the vigilante and the national security architecture? What level of training are the vigilante getting? For goodness sake, we just make this, we say this. What level, what have we done to even train them? What incentive, even at the state and local government, is being extended to these vigilantes? You expect a traditional ruler who is barely surviving to be able to train vigilantes in security awareness, in early warning systems and mechanism, observing what it is and the rest, reporting system and the rest. It's going to be difficult for them. You just pick somebody from the street and then you say you are vigilante. So what? These people need to be trained. And I profiled the solution to yesterday on NTA. We have a lot of retired military and security personnel living with our communities. We need to engage them constructively to be able to train these vigilantes in even observations, in security awareness, in able to get down. That's what I call community resilience. You see, our communities must be able to stand. And how do they stand? They must have some capacity building. And then you see, when you say you are reporting at a reporting time, there are certain basic information that the troops will need to respond, or the police will need to respond. If you call, say, oh, there is something here, they are not able to describe the exact location, the exact nature of what is in that place, and then you have somebody struggling to get to that point. I mean, there should be some clear-cut thing that, look, we have technology that helps. you give your GPS location or where that area is, it be a GPS location. It helps whoever is going to that place to navigate his way and go through the quickest possible means. And then you give an idea of what is there for them to go. We have had occasions where policemen or even troops went and they are overwhelmed by the terrorists because they are more in number. And then you call and somebody goes with just one vehicle or two vehicles and going to meet our 50 people. I mean, they are more in number and then they know they are coming. So it's terrible. And sometimes they are the ones that call, the terrorists, that call the troops or the policemen or the security agencies. And when they start moving, they ambush them and hit them. So it's quite a very dicey situation. So you must be able to teach those vigilantes what to do, how to report, a clear channel of communication between them and the security agencies, and how the reporting system is. And there should be some linkages and liaisons between them and the rest that continues, because training is a continuous thing. Because these terrorists change their tactics from every time. They're not static. They are mobile. They change their tactics. And so they must keep abreast with what they are doing and how they are doing it. So it requires a lot of collaboration between them. And unfortunately, I was one of those who actually conceptualized Operation Rainbow for Plateau. And the philosophy behind it, unfortunately, is not what is going on now. Because if it were what we sat down here in my sitting room and did, and while we conceptualize it and it's been done, we should have gone beyond what we are now, unfortunately. But that is a topic for another day. But I think we need to look at Operation Rainbow, not just what's being said, because it is supposed to be an early warning and an early response mechanism. And that early warning is what you pick up immediately and start putting response in place even before it becomes a problem. Because prevention, as I said, is better than cure. Yeah.
Well said, General. Let's talk about some of the current measures being deployed in the wake of these attacks. Now we see a ban on night grazing, a ban on transportation of cattle past 7 p.m. and also ban on the use of motorcycles between the hours later than 7 p.m. and earlier than 6 a.m. How effective are these measures in curtailing some of the ways they say that these terrorists mask the attacks?
The important thing about any ban is that, is it enforceable? Can you enforce it? If you cannot enforce it, then it's just a ban as it were, from the dying at the barrel of the gun, not going beyond that. So we have had so many bans about movement of motorcycles and the rest, even here in Jos. Even here, if you go out here, even within the city here, even in Rayfield, you will see motorcycles even parked on the way driving into the government house. You know, carrying people left, right, center. So there was a ban on the use of motorcycle within the Greater Jos City Center, but they are still doing it. Unless you are able to enforce it. There was a ban on grazing before. Can we be able to enforce grazing ban in the rural areas? Who are those who can enforce it? What are the sanctions that will be taken against those who break the ban? The important thing is that there must be synergy between the enforcers and the criminal justice system. We have a very weak criminal justice system, which is being exploited left, right, and center. And it's exploited because, like I said yesterday on NTA Tuesday Live, is that we have lost honor as a people. From the leadership right down to the lowest level, we don't have men of honor again. And men of honor are the ones who will turn the situation around. We don't have time. I would have expatiated more on the idea of honor. We worship people who have acquired wealth through illicit means. They are the honorables. Now, we do not worship the real heroes. heroes that do certain things very uncommon for their people and societies are not worshipped. It is hero worshipping that actually brings out more heroes, and that is what we call warrior ethos. Our people had been known to be great warriors. Plateau was never conquered by the Osman Danfodio jihad. Our forefathers did not even have the sort of education and numbers that we have now. They were able to withstand. Are our youth ready to withstand these sort of things? Or what are their values to make money at all costs, to go into all sort of things? We need a value reorientation to make sure that honor has a place. And in fact, ladies and in those days, young girls used to look for honorable men or heroes to marry. They don't marry cowards. They don't marry thieves. They don't marry people of questionable characters. But it's the opposite now. We need to get back our access together. We need to reinvent our core values as a people. Our humanity has been lost. We need to get back our humanity and be able to do what it is. And that leads me to the very unfortunate situation where you saw the mass grave that those people were being thrown, bodies were being thrown in like dead chickens inside a mass grave. Not even with body bags, nothing to cover them. It's the dread that they were having that they were buried with. I mean, the local government chairman could not provide 30,000, 20,000 naira coffins or buy body bags. They couldn't put these people in individual graves and mark them for people to understand and put up, these are our heroes. We shouldn't forget. If we do that tomorrow with this environment, you go and bump people in one grave, says mass burial. I think it's most inhuman as far as I'm concerned. We must get back our humanity. Thank you.
We must thank you also, General, for taking our time to speak objectively to this issue and prefer solutions in terms of how to improve our security approach. We appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.